Hey everybody, my name is Pluto, and welcome to another commentated Mare 4 Kaizo ROM hack video. I don't even remember how I start these videos, honestly, because I have not uploaded a video in a very long time. In fact, the gap between this video and my last video is like comparable to like the gap between like the gap in like 2021 and like the middle of that year when I stopped uploading. However, this time the gap in uploads is not because of anything bad that happened. In fact, things are actually going better than ever, I'd argue, besides some minor hiccups. But I'll talk a bit more about that later. Let's start with, what is a star? What the hell are you playing, Pluto? What is this bullshit? This is Super Mario Endless Journey. This is the 11th level of the game. It's called like Mare Tranquillitatis. I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's the level. This is a pretty tough level. It's actually harder than I thought it would be. The levels leading up to this hack were pretty tough, but they weren't, or to this one, were pretty tough, but they weren't too bad. Keep in mind that this game is currently a beta, so the difficulty curve isn't fully fleshed out, but to say this level was a difficulty spike compared to Course 8, which came before it, would be a massive understatement. Course 8 was like not so bad. It was like a tricky kaizo level, but I didn't struggle with it that much. Course 11 is like a super kaizo. Like, this is harder than TD Reds. And I think it's a pretty cool star. Now, it's not too interesting. I don't think there's many things that I can really talk about and give a ton of insight in because it's a lot of very self-explanatory jumps. But with that being said, I think it's still a cool star that you guys will enjoy, so I hope you enjoy it. So the general structure of this level is quite linear. There's not really any routing options for the star, which is fine for me, but there are many people who just like that. The star is kind of similarly structured to SNR Course 14 in the sense that, like, the way that you traverse the level is very like it's very like set in stone. Like, it's almost like an on-rails experience because you're very clearly supposed to do it in one way. There I get a firstie, but it's not actually a required firstie. In fact, I don't even get up to the height. That wall is specifically positioned to make the firstie retryable. This is probably the most interesting setup for a mandatory firstie I've ever seen because you don't actually need to firstie, or not, you don't actually need to firstie to live. You can back it up, but it's not free. It's kind of a cool setup, I think. This red coin's a little bit slow, so I speed it up by using these fire guys. I fall off though like an idiot because I guess I wasn't holding straight, or that slope is an axis line for some reason. It's one of the two. It's not a big deal though, it's just a minor little hiccup. The star, as you can see, is quite long, so even with that minor hiccup, it doesn't really take much longer. I think that only wastes like 45 seconds or so. So, in terms of difficulty, the star is pretty balanced. I think it like starts hard and kind of just like, it gets a little bit easier, and then I think it like picks up towards the end again. There's not like a ton of parts in the star that I'd say are like, this is like a big jump, this is like a super hard section, this is like a blowout jump, this is like a defining trait. It's just like a lot of like little small things that I think really add up over time to make a really tough star, and one that I think is something that is going to challenge someone who's not very confident in their ability to do longer stars, or maybe doesn't have the best nerve control, because this is a star, and the next one I'm going to be uploading, because I already have another upload planned, which is Wing Cap Reds, are just stars that just require a lot of endurance and a lot of very good nerve control to do hard jumps under pressure, which is a skill that not every star in the world practices, although there are definitely a lot of kaizo stars with really hard endings, so it's definitely a thing that you need to watch out for. These cones are pretty shockingly slippery. You actually might be surprised by how slippery they are. They're pretty awkward, but you don't need to worry too much on these things. Just make sure that you're careful. I'd use some pause buffering to make it a little bit easier. Not so bad. Here we have the Knight of Doom red coin, which is in this hole. Nice little nostalgia trip. Maybe I should replay Knight of Doom someday because I haven't played it in like so long. I think it might be fun to replay and see if it's still the game I remember it being. So here we have some crossovers. So one thing that Endless Journey has a lot of is some really dumb crossovers. I don't understand why, but for some reason the creator of this game, Yuka, just like put some really dumb crossovers. Now these aren't so bad. These are pretty generous. I mean, you can see I like reached towards at the bottom there, but whatever. Who hasn't like reached the bottom of a crossover before? This crossover, however, I don't know what the fuck he was doing with this one. Like, I would love to know what was the thought process behind making this thing as tight as it is, but really the only way to do this consistently is to get good quarter frames to clip out of the arch, and even then it's precise. I'm actually pause buffering because I'm going for a quarter frame arch firsty, which sounds like a pretty specific combo, but I have gone for this before. I do it in Sukanento's Dawn for the invisible arch, because that one is similarly tight. Excuse the voice crack. But the difference between that one and this one is that this one is an invisible, and this one doesn't make me want to cry when I die to it. Which I didn't even die to it that much, because it's pretty safe if you mess it up. So, there's not really too many interesting parts for a little bit, so I'm going to talk about what I've been doing that I haven't been uploading. So, obviously the elephant in the room is Final Tragedy Red Coins. I'm going to be blunt here. I might not get Final Tragedy Red Coins for another, like, 9 months. And the reason I say that is not because I don't think I can do it, which is kind of true. I kind of don't think I can do it, but it's like, I feel like maybe if I put in the effort I could. But the thing is that, like, I just don't really have a ton of time to be grinding a star like Final Tragedy Reds. It's so long and requires such consistent play for such like an over an extended period of time. It's like, I don't even know if I have the time available to complete it, really. Which is kind of concerning, because it's like, I want to complete it, but I'm worried that I don't have the time. So I've kind of been taking a break from it because I don't want to stress myself out with something by making me feel like I'm obligated to play it, because I don't want to be trapped in this hole of like, oh, not only does she only play Mare 64 ROM hacks, but she also only plays Dream Edition. I don't really want that for myself, especially because there's going to be a time when I'm not going to be playing Dream Edition anymore, hopefully because I've beaten it, and realistically I'll want to do other things, and other Mario things, because believe it or not, I have interest in Mario 64 besides one ROM hack that's really hard. If I didn't, I wouldn't be playing this. So it's like, I think about that, and it's like, can I even get Final Tragedy Reds in my current situation, because it's so difficult, and it's so long, and it's so hard, and it's like, I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's a no, I'm not saying it's like a never, but I am saying I'm not sure, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be unsure about something like that, because it's a very hard star, and if I got it, it would definitely be my greatest gaming accomplishment ever. So, what have I been doing in the meantime? Well, in terms of Mario 64 stuff, while I was playing Final Tragedy Reds, I started Nightmare Edition offline. Spoiler alert, that playthrough is not getting finished. I'm not finishing Nightmare Edition. I completed everything up to the final 2 levels, Course 14 and Course 15, but those levels are just way too boring and annoying for me to want to play them, so I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to. I ended up getting Course 12 Reds, which was a first ever accomplishment. No one had done that before. And that's pretty much it for notable accomplishments in the game. The rest had already been done before or were piss easy. You can find the video on that on my second channel, by the way. So besides that, what other Mario stuff? Not much, honestly. I've been like playing through casual hacks, but there's kind of been like a little bit of a drought of kaizo I feel to play, because it's like every kaizo hack that comes out is like not that hard for me anymore, because it's like I've played so many hard stars at this point that it's like nothing is hard except for the stuff that's like super hard, right? So that's kind of concerning. But in this meantime, I've actually gotten to another game, which is I Want to Be the Guy fan games. And if that sounds familiar, it's because I used to be into I Want to Be the Guy fan games for quite a while in 2018. So I stopped playing them, but then I came back recently, and it's actually been really fun. I surprisingly didn't lose like any of the skill I gained from playing them. And if you've seen my second channel, you'll know that I've been kinda gaming over there. I 100% Camellia 3, 9th in the world, you know. Kind of a big deal. It's not that big of a deal, but, you know, it's something to be proud of, and I've been streaming it a little too, and I think that has been part of what's made me a little bit happier to be more open, because I feel like I'm not as scared to play things that aren't Dream Edition. Because there was a part of me that was worried that the only thing that people cared about was that I was playing Dream Edition and I was playing Mario 64. And like, if I wasn't doing either of those things, it's like nobody cared about anything I was doing, because it's like, you're the Dream Edition person, you're supposed to be good at Dream Edition. You're supposed to be getting all the Dream Edition stars faster than anyone can even comprehend. You're supposed to get the new hardest star in the world, and it's been like this for like, what, like 3 years now? That's a pretty stressful thing to deal with for so long, in my opinion. So the fact that I'm branching out to other things makes me really happy, because it's made me feel less pressured to play Dream Edition, and that makes me want to play it more, because I feel like until now I was forcing myself to play Final Tragedy when I really didn't want to a lot of the time, And now I'm thinking I want to play Final Tragedy, but at the same time I want to do all these other things a little bit more. But I feel like once I complete Endless Journey, I feel like it's going to be like that perfect catalyst to come back to Final Tragedy Reds, and maybe not get it, but maybe get like the 2-segment clear, maybe get a little bit of a further PB, things like that, which are things I want to do with that star sometime soon. It's just a very difficult star, and I'm currently mental blocking triple invis quite hard, but I'll figure it out. So those are like the kind of things that I've been thinking about. In the meantime, you know, playing a little bit Mario 64, playing some I Want to Be the Guy fan games, playing some other games too. Not as high effortly, but like, you know, somewhat. Stuff like that has just been really fun for me, and I'm happy to be able to talk about it so openly. Now, is I Want to Be the Guy fan game stuff coming to the main channel? Probably not, and the reason for that is that I want my main channel to be videos that I put a decent amount of effort into. That's not to say that I'm like laboring over these commentary videos, because realistically, it's just commentating a star for however long it is, playing the music, and maybe doing a couple edits if necessary. But for something like this, it's like, I feel like I can provide insight into the game, which is ironic because I've provided very little insight into this entire video, but you know what I mean. I feel like I can provide more insight into Mario 64, whereas if I Want to Be the Guy fan games, I feel like I can't really provide that same insight on like on a level that I would be okay with presenting on a YouTube channel. Like, I would be fine like DMing someone and talking about a particular boss or something, and like talking about like, here's how you beat it, here's some tips, here's some tricks, but it's like, I feel like I'm not in a way that I could, I can't think of a way that I could make that content something I'd be comfortable on the main channel, so it's mostly on the second channel for now. Which, sometimes I worry, like, am I neglecting Mario 64, or even worse, am I burning out of Mario 64? And I really don't think that's true, but I do think that because I'm getting into something new, it's more exciting. Because part of me knows that Mario 64 is always going to be there, and I'm always going to be playing Mario 64, because I just fucking care about this game too much. Like, even if something happens and I stop playing Mario 64 ROM hacks, I'm still going to be in this community. Like, I'm not going to leave the community. I'm going to keep, you know, talking to people about Mario 64, about how much I love the game, watching streams and stuff, you know, that kind of thing that I enjoy doing and is fun, and that I want to do. So, yeah, that's pretty much my entire thoughts and feelings, why I haven't been uploading, what I've been doing. And now I can get back to talking about the star, because we're past the parts that I really have nothing to say about. So, let's talk. So, about halfway through the star here, we have the slope section, which is actually quite tricky. There's a heave-ho, which is a total menace to society here. He's not too hard to bait, though. You can bait him in such a way that he kind of like crawls along the quicksand without actually going towards you, because you kind of constantly get him to wiggle between like going towards you and going back, which just makes him go in a straight line. That's not too bad. Now this red coin is actually really scary because there's not really a comfortable way to grab it. You kind of just need to get a bit of speed and then like kick over to the slope. So you'll see how scary that maneuver is in a second. Yep. So now he's got to go right across. So that shell section was the star 2 path. This is pretty much just like go down on the star path, but the thing about this star is that the star endings are the main thing that are like the main thing that's hard in this level. But the paths to the stars are so difficult. It's just like the star endings are like what's hard. So because you don't need to do those in reds, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think the easiest star ending honestly might be, well, besides star 2, because star 2 is just like the easiest one in general. I think star 3 has a pretty easy ending, but to compensate the path to star 3 is pretty tough, and that's actually the path that we're on right now, and we'll have to do in almost its entirety, so that's pretty rough, buddy, but it's fine. This first jump is whatever, you know, not really a big deal, but the second jump is actually kind of weird. It's this jump into this hole, which it's like a scary hole, spooky scary hole, dangerous hole, the danger hole. Just gotta do like a kind of awkward camera maneuver. There's quite a few ways that you can actually do this walking sequence. This is the one I was most comfortable with, but as you can see, I was in a pretty tight scenario. The camera got obscured by the quicksand because it got stuck on the floor, which is something it typically does because it doesn't want to go below the floor because it assumes that like Mario is above the floor. So it's like, oh, well, I'll just stay above the floor. So what I had to do there was pause buffer a little bit and then click the camera in or twice to fix it. You can do that without a second frame, but it's pretty tight. So generally you'll want to rely on a second frame. I think maybe even a third frame makes it with the way that's set up, but it's a little awkward. These wall kicks I almost died to because I didn't really remember how to do them that well. This is it's like the kind of jump that's like very innocuous that you don't really pay attention to it until you're doing it in a tent and you realize like you don't really know exactly how you're supposed to do that. Which is not something you want to find out in that situation. Come up here, break the box. As you can see, this level isn't the tightest on coins, it's pretty generous. Combining reds with hundreds is like something that you just might as well do in this level, because you just get so many coins while going for reds that you should just do it. I've never really understood why people separate reds and hundreds in levels like this unless they're really hard. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, this level is actually really hard. I can actually see why someone would separate reds and hundreds here if you are struggling with reds, but at the same time, the level is so linear that like, it's not like it's the biggest level in the world, and like the way the coins are set up, I feel like you don't really get too much of an advantage from separating reds and hundreds. So you might as well just do them together. Of course, if I died after getting hundreds, I would not have combined them because I would have had hundreds already. But thankfully, I didn't choke after getting the 100th coin, which I'm actually pretty thankful for. And you'll see why, because it's pretty close. I think I had to redo these kind of annoying arches again. I didn't really talk about these arches when I first did them because I was talking about other stuff, but you kind of want to hope for quarter frame arches here because it's just the safest way to do them when they're like this. Like I said, Yuka really likes tight arches for some reason. These are very tight arches. And instead of going up into the slope section, we're now going to go inside and down and around because this is going to lead to the star 4 and the star 5 paths, which will be the ending of the star. Gotta do that kind of awkward maneuver there. There's a lot of little moments there where your camera can get a bit tripped up and you might have to click it in twice with R. There are definitely moments where you just get like a perfect camera the whole way, but that's a little rare. This is a kind of cool section where you have to QSOG here, change your angle. One of the few instances of a QSOG that I actually don't mind. This quick walkie sequence is not like hard at all. It's just like what came before it is pretty tough, but like this part is very easy. You just have to walk back and forth. The walls are quite a bit far apart, but they're not far enough that you need first to get across, and they actually tighten at this point, so you're not really gonna lose too much height. You just have to be decent at wall kicking with a kind of awkward camera angle because it's not parallel to the walls unless you D-pad it, which would be kind of risky. Yeah, hundreds is like basically done here. We just have to do this one final wall kick sequence to get it, which it's a decently precise wall kick section, but come on. You're talking to the person who's done Everlasting Encore Reds, Blue Precise, Jonk's Junk Hundreds, and various other stars which have varying degrees of stupid fucking wall kick sections. That's free, so don't worry about it. It's not actually free, it's actually hard, but you know what I mean. I am experienced in this category of jump, and you should know that thing. Yeah, that's hundreds. So now we got a couple more sections. I'm actually going to skip the metal cap for now because I'm not going to be actually doing any lava sections. And if I got the metal cap now, it would just waste time because I would need to get it again anyways. Because instead of going to the lava section, there's actually a walking sequence here. This walking sequence is really intimidating. It's kind of awkward to do. It has these like awkward variants of crossover where you kind of need to like hook all the way around like a long wall or whatever. It's just weird, man. There's these little Kyosuji sections where you can do that. Skip one of the walls, which I found to be a little bit easier than, or not easier, but it just came more naturally than the other strat. Got more precise wall kicks, but these ones aren't as precise because you do them straight. And right there is the red coin. It's number 4, of course. It's not actually number 4, it's actually number 13 out of 17. Because this is the part in the game where levels start having more than 8 reds. For a while I actually thought this game was not going to have any levels more than 8 reds, and then this one has a 17, and then wing cap has 40, so I was definitely wrong, but I don't mind it too much because generally the reds are in places that are pretty natural, so you're not really struggling to remember where they are. Wing cap having 40 is like, that's a bit much, but a lot of them are just like within like the same jump or the same area, and they're pretty easy to remember because of that. I'm decently excited to show off my Gephards. I think it's cool. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we're now going to head over to the lava section and get the metal cap finally, because we need it. We need it to survive. Actually, because of the heart there, I don't think you need it to survive at all, but whatever. Might as well grab it. I feel like it's safer like this. So we're actually not really going to do the Star 4 path at all. The Star 4 path is this very tricky sequence of slopes and hard wall kicks, which I choke like a million times, which actually meant that Star 4 took me longer than Red's here. I don't remember exactly how long Red's took, but I know it wasn't too long. I want to say it was under 2 hours to learn and then get, but I could be wrong. So yeah, it definitely wasn't as big of a struggle as some other fucking stars. And especially Star 4. Star 4 took me like almost 3 hours because I just kept dying to the very end. It's so dumb. The lava section is a little awkward, by the way. It's hard to explain why it's awkward. It's just like weird. I guess like lava bouncing around like a hexagon is just like a weird shape. So it's kind of like, it doesn't feel correct. Plus you need to get the red coin. If you miss the red coin, you can just retry because you can just jump off very easily, but thankfully I got it first try, so I didn't need to do that. Compensated for falling off that one slope red. Now this section is fucking scary. We have this like very thin slope we gotta do. Thankfully I'm currently in the middle of a grind up stage of a much tighter slope, which is slippery and much harder to jump off, and also way harder and more frustrating to die to, and it like never gets consistent even though I've put like probably dozens of hours into it at this point. So that's not a problem. And of course I'm talking about Final Tragedy there. Good old death slope, everyone loves it. Gotta love all the hard jumps in Final Tragedy. There's Eon Core slopes, which are terrible. Death slope, which is terrible. Purple needles, which is fine, but you choke it and it's like, what the fuck. And then you gotta do the reclimb, which is annoying. You gotta do triple invis 3 times, which is annoying. You gotta do the various jumps that are in like the Star 4 path. Those suck. You gotta do another reclimb. You gotta do triple invis again. Don't forget about Thin Arch Tower. Man, that level fucking sucks. But that's okay, because I still like it. This walking sequence isn't as difficult as it looks, but these arches are a little scary. I got stuck on them for a little bit, so I got kind of scared. One thing that like still really gets my nerves to this day is like, I get really bothered when I'm late in an attempt and I can't do an arch that's retryable. I don't know why, but that really like, it just really gets to me when I can't do an arch. Alright, so now that we're here, we don't really need to do too much else. We're only missing 3 of the red coins. So start by going across here. Now this red coin is quite intimidating because it's quite far out there. I barely managed to survive here. I had a little bit too much speed, but I barely clipped the edge there and got a ledge grab. The exact way that works is that I landed on the platform, and then like the very next frame felt like walked off, but like because I had just landed, Mario ledge grabbed instead of just like sliding off. I didn't even know you could ledge grab that edge, but I guess it only really works like that. Maybe you can just walk off and ledge grab it, I'm not sure. So that was fucking scary. Don't worry, we're not done with scares, even though the star's almost over. You can see the 16th red right there. See, jump down here. There's a various amount of ways to jump down there. I just did the double jump kick because it's fine. This red coin is very lenient. Just need to get the backward wall kick. Now, this girl I'm make here, not the nicest guy in the world. So what I opted to do was I opted to do that wall kick to bait out his fire, and then I could do my double jump kick strategy across very safely. Wasn't very hard at all. Really only 2 more sections here. We're going to start by getting the metal cap again, jumping down to this section. So I need to hit the lava strip there, without bonking on the actual wall, which is a bit of an awkward task and one that I almost fuck up, as you'll see here. I jump on the slope, and I'm worried about overshooting it, so I kind of hold back, but then I was too slow, so I had to dive into the lava, which was very close, and I'm very surprised that worked, but I'm grateful because I didn't have a 16 out of 17 choke because of it. Yeah, jumped on there. Easiest way to get on that pillar is just diving into the lava. And this is the 17th red, and all we have to do is just climb this very anxiety-inducing slope. Yeah. So, when you get the last red coin, it takes 4 frames before the animation starts, so what I do there is I kind of like slide into it and then get a jump off before the animation starts. That just makes the coin a bit safer to grab. And now, just to play it safe, I just do pause before it slope jumps up these things, which is essentially just waiting until I get a jump I'm comfortable with, and then I hold left. Like there, I'm comfy, so I hold left. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the star. Don't really have much else to say. Enjoy my reaction or whatever, which is very subdued. Yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. First one in a while. See you guys next time. Bye bye. No. Oh, one more, are you kidding me? I think this is the last one though. And that was frame perfect. No, nothing funny, right? Oh my god, I can't believe that, dude. Oh my god.